And so we are going to get into some really good content for today. And what I don't know. We're going to get into some really good content today. And I hope that you guys are ready to have some fun and try to get some learning on and to understand what it takes to get involved in marriage coaching. To, not to be a marriage coach, that sounded weird, but to understand when you, as a husband, need coaching, need someone to help you out. Today, from the times we were kids all the way up, we have had most of us have had coaches in sports. Um, and a lot of times people don't really like psychiatrists and therapists, which which is understandable. They kind of have a bad reputation, but there are a lot of good psychiatrists and therapists. Individual therapy is good to deal with certain things, but when we need things that require action steps, immediate attention, it's hard to really go into a counseling session when you have two people, especially one doesn't want to be there. And so this is why I'm trying to get you to understand, when do I need marriage coaching? What are the signs and clues that I need it? And if I need it, where to go get it, and how to look it up and things like that, which it really is real simple. But as far as that being said, again, remember that marriage counseling is only really effective when two people want to be there. They really want to save the marriage. A marriage coach like me I specialize in saving the marriage when the one spouse doesn't, usually the man. When the woman doesn't want to save the marriage, but the man does. Because I realized over a lot of years that when men change, the marriage gets better. It just does. When they fix themselves and do what they're supposed to do, take responsibility, man up, whatever you want to call it, once they start rocking and rolling, the marriage and the family just seems to do a lot better. And there are a lot of statistics for that. I'm not going to go into that, but just take it for, sometimes you just got to take it for what it is. And I'm telling you, when the man improves, the marriage improves. The wife is more happy. She's more trusting. She trusts him to do his part and to help out the family. The kids are happier, things like that. We have this thing that the mother's supposed to be with the children. That's not necessarily true. The mother and the father are supposed to be together, and everybody has their own. The mother and the father both have their own gifts that they give to the family. Just so happens hers is nurturing the kids, and the father, he kind of taking care of everything else. So with that being said, let's get on with the next set of clues that you need marriage coaching. After the break, we're going to take on that. And yes, we've done 1 through 20 so far. So episodes 1 through 10 are in numbers 1 through 10 are in episode 200. Episodes 11 through 20 are in episode 201. Numbers one, and so today we're going to cover which ones? 21 through 30. All right, so we'll be right back. Hang in there. Boom, 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 boom. If you're getting value from this podcast and would like more personal marriage help, visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for an opportunity to work with me personally for free. Yes, within 30 days, learn how to become a better husband that attracts your wife back to you. Visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com and get a plan tailored specific to your marriage and situation. I've helped hundreds of men in their marriages. Allow me the chance to help you using my personal and gained experience. Visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for superior coaching for your marriage. Again, SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com. That's SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com to become the man God created you to be and the husband your wife needs. Lastly, I always get the question, why don't you help women? And I always answer them, I do. So, for all of you beloved wives out there that want to reignite that feeling of emotional closeness and complete love from your hubby, consider marriage coaching and visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for an improved marriage within 30 days. Hey, 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 we are back, fellas. So let's get to rocking and rolling. As promised, this top 72 signs that you must get marriage coaching for your marriage before it degrades farther. And that is the key. That is the key right there. You want to get help before it gets worse. Think about marriage and relationships and things like that. They only degrade, they don't get better, especially a marriage. Once it starts to go bad, it's like a darn it's like a darn snowball going down the boulder, going down the snow hill or something. Man, it can go bad fast or it can go bad slow over years. And so what I want you guys to understand that it will get worse. Do not procrastinate. If you think you need help, get it. You'll be surprised in 30 days where how much better you will feel and how much you'll at least see some things moving forward. If you wait and wait and wait, I had a guy that his wife gave him divorce papers, and somehow the divorce just kind of never just went got like really got going, and all of a sudden there's a court date, and all of a sudden now he's panicking. And see, that is the typical thing what men do. We wait and wait and wait. We then when stuff starts to hit the fan, then we want to panic and then try to figure out what to do, and then we making decisions. We're not making logical decisions, and that is the problem. Open our eyes, try to see when things are going south, try to figure out how to do it. Talk to your wife, and you guys come to a thing before things are going too bad, and try to figure out what is going on without arguing and fighting. The main thing when you talk about marriage problems when things are good or mediocre or not that bad yet is, for the most part, both of you kind of want to still get along and save your marriage, and try to make it better. But the main thing that gets in the way is ego from both parties. And when ego gets in the way, what starts after that? Nobody's listening to anybody, and then they start arguing and fighting. Somebody says something they're not supposed to say, and then of course, then it goes all crazy. So for this reason, procrastination is not the way. All right. So the time is up. There's no more time. Try to get you some help if you need it. If you are in any of these situations, I've already named 20. Now we're going to start at 20. Was it 21 to 30? And then if you have one or two of these, you need to start getting some help. And that's just on this 10. That's not the other 20 that we've already talked about. So let's get going with the number 20. Let me see. The number 21 reason that you may need marriage coaching. Okay. So, number 21, if you and your wife argue more than once per year. Yeah. What? Once per year? Dang. So, here's what I tell guys. Look, man, good and great marriages and legendary marriages, people don't argue. They don't. A couple together for years and years, or just getting married or been together and they got a great marriage, good marriage, whatever, man, they don't argue, man. And they could probably count on one hand the amount of time that they've argued in a year or two. And it's probably less than two or three times. And even then, it might not be a full blown out argument. It just might be, somebody getting mad and start crying and fighting back and arguing and stuff like that. But then, what are they doing? They're apologizing, and then they're fixing the problem, and then they're kind of going on and with their life and like, okay, that's over and we're moving on. So I know once a year is pretty steep. It's pretty a steep standard. But the reason I have it like this, man, is so that you understand that people in great marriages don't argue, dude. They don't. They might disagree a little bit, but see, that's the thing. When people disagree, it's how you handle the disagreement. You know, um, one of the main reasons that doesn't work is people will, like one of the spouses will go, they want to admit when they're wrong or admit or say they're sorry. But mostly people will say they're sorry, but admit when they're wrong, that is a really tough one. And that is either gender, man or woman. That's just the what do you call it? The temperament of the person, the character of the person. But man, A lot of times arguing start, and think about this kind of thing, it starts out really slow. Because when you first get together, you're not arguing. You know why? Because everybody's trying to show the best of themselves. So I can't be sitting there arguing with you and challenging everything you say and do, because then you're gonna know I'm crazy. But when we get married, though, we got that paper and we're living together and we got cars and houses and all this stuff. All of a sudden, I can be myself. And then that's when it comes out. That first year or two, it comes out, and then it just keeps going and going. And so the main thing about arguing, man, is somebody has to be the adult. If you're wrong, admit you're wrong. Say you're sorry. If you're wrong, and you're trying to debate a point, sometimes just say, baby, you're right. Believe it or not, man, I say, baby, you're right all the time. I'm a marriage coach. I say, you're right. Because to me, my pride, see, I've kind of always been like that. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I don't have no thing about saying I'm wrong to myself. But a lot of people, man, they can't deal like that. It's like if I'm losing the argument, I'm gonna still fight for that argument, no matter I'm losing, I'm getting my butt kicked, and I know really I'm wrong, but I just don't want to admit it. So if you argue more than a year, you really need to consider how much. If you argue more than once a year, you need to really look at that standard and see, hey, man, are we doing more than that? Like, and if you are, why? It's always a good thing, masculine thing to ask the question of why am I doing that? Okay, why is this going on? Because then that's how you get answers. So this may seem extreme and small too. It is a very small window. But again, in great marriages, couples don't get into serious arguments and fighting. Okay, so just kind of remember that. Also, if you think you might need some marriage coaching, you want to call in right now, there it is, 313 Radical. Okay, number 22 of a sign that you need marriage coaching. Okay, if you have anger problems, woo, man, I ain't gonna lie, I used to have them. I did. I used to have anger problems, frustration problems, and stuff. Um, I'm the kind of person, I get angry and stuff, and I really kind of hold things in, and I just kind of go off at one time. That's how it was. But then I realized, my daughter and my wife get scared, and I was wondering, my daughter and wife get scared, like, what's wrong with him? He's crazy. And see, when you have anger problems, that's kind of how your family looks at you. Like, they don't want to be around you. They're scared. They're tiptoeing. They're scared to say anything or let you know what's going on or how they feel or any problems or any good thing. And if you are a husband that has anger problems or frustration is like a level below anger. They're kind of the same thing, but it doesn't matter. Or you one of them kind of guys, you don't get you get angry and you don't throw stuff around and hit walls and stuff, but you the kind of guy that you're more tempered. You still get frustrated and angry, but you start what? Calling your wife names or saying mean things to her or saying things you can't take back, and stuff like that. And then she gets scared of saying anything, getting scared to be around you. When you come home, it's not like I'm happy. It's like, oh my God, hope he had a good day because he's going, hope he don't go off on me, And so what happens a lot of times, man, when a man has an anger problem, women these days, what women do these days, because they know they can call the police on you, they just start fighting back. They get angry back. Remember, fellas, in your marriage and in your family, your wife does what you do. Your kids do what you do. If you're a jerk, they're gonna be a jerk. If you're angry for all the time, they're gonna show their anger and stuff all the time. If you're a cheater, your wife's gonna cheat. Your kids gonna grow up and be cheaters. If you get a divorce, your kids gonna grow up and get a divorce. Dude, this is a very important point that please understand this. And you go, well, dang, man, why? You might ask yourself, like, why is that so? Well, that's so because of the way God set it up. God gave Adam the leadership of the home, the responsibility of the home. So he's our first father, so that passes on to all men. Now, women might go, well, why does he get to be the leader? Well, the reason he has to be the leader and do things that need to be done because your job is to take care of the kids and make them right. Now, see, women will go, "Why I gotta take care of the kids? Why can't he take care of the kids?" Because his temperament is not for that. His nature is not in that. He was not created for that. And it irks me so much when you're watching commercials, you're watching movies or whatever, and women's talking about, "Oh, I'd be such a bad mother. I don't know how to change a diaper. Oh, how do I hold this baby?" And then the man gets the baby, and man holds the baby all perfect, and they're playing around, and that's all a manipulation, man, to get us out of our roles and to destroy the family, man. So the reason that your wife and kids do what the husband does is because they're because we are tasked as the head of the server, the protector and defender of the home. And when we start doing things just like at your job, we start doing things, then our family does it. So just look at your job. If you are a supervisor or the head of a company or the leader of an organization or whatever, just look. If you're a coach of a team, dude, they do people do what you do. If you're a football coach and you're all fired up and you're going crazy and you're like, boom, we're gonna kick butt, then your team's gonna act like that. If you one of them guys like Coach Dungy, which is the coach, he was real laid back, he was calm, he didn't get angry, he didn't raise his voice. So that was kind of how the team kind of was. But Coach Dungy was smart. What did he do? He knew he wasn't that kind of person, and he knew as on the football team, you need to be hyped up at times. So what did he do? He hired coaches that would take care of that part, or he had leaders on the team like that. But what I'm saying is, man, if you think about it, that's how all leadership organizations are, and the family is the number one. Okay. Your job is general in the family, and the reason that your wife doesn't have that role is because it takes a lot to get kids right, even if you just got one or two. We all know that. All right. So also there are many reasons for anger problems. Not praying, low hormones, selfishness. Believe it or not, man, guys think that they're angry because they have this bad temper and stuff. That's really not it all the time. A lot of times it's because your hormones are low, your sexual hormones are low, or whatever. And once your hormones are low, that means your energy, you don't have a lot of energy to do stuff. And so when you have a low energy, then your temperament gets bad. You get in a bad mood. You get in your body gets in a depressed state. Okay. Also, not praying. Like a lot of guys, people don't pray. And men don't pray. And so when you don't pray, you don't have that grace to help carry you through. Okay. And the other thing, other selfishness too. Um, if I don't get my way, I'm gonna lose it. Or I'm gonna get my way. I'm used to getting my way all the time. And so when I don't get my way, then everybody else got to pay for it. Okay. Those kind of things. In my experience and speaking to many husbands, government anger programs don't work. Another thing too, government anger programs don't work, man. And I've had so many guys tell me that, oh man, I just go, man, and then I learned how to not be angry. I learned how to hide it and mask it, but the anger's still there. Okay. Meekness is the virtue of Jesus and is about control. The first art of authentic masculinity is learning meekness and how to control yourself. Feeding yourself with emotion instead of logic is temporary. Okay, as we all know, emotion is always temporary. Just like we'll go back to the football thing again. You know, Emotion in a football game only carries you so far. It comes to a point in time where you've got to bear down, be logical, play well, and think. Okay, and that's how this is. When you're upset, that means your emotions getting in the way. You can't think straight. Okay, men are not supposed to rely on emotion. Men are supposed to rely on logic and clear thinking. And a lot of times, if we're not praying, that means we're demonically oppressed. If you're not praying, you will be demonically oppressed, which means what? You can't see the world for what it really is. You're being manipulated by the demonic, and you can't think clearly. You can't see clearly. Okay. All right. So, and remember, meekness. is the art of masculinity, man. It's like control. We must learn as men to control ourselves at all times. You never lose control, especially in front of your family. First of all, again, they're going to get up, they're going to get scared. They're not going to know how to handle you, and they're going to want to get away from you. Okay, so that's number 22. Number 23 of reasons why you need marriage coaching: if you are depressed. Depression can take many forms. It can cause you to act other than yourself. Depression can manifest through anger, frustration, selfishness, indifference, and much more. Marriage coaching can give you action steps to take to get rid of your depression. A lot of times, the reason men, we'll just stay with men, and because this is the same for women, we talk about men today. The reason men most time get depressed is because they're not praying, man. They're not engaged in spiritual warfare, man. They had, like I just said before, they have that demonic being influenced, man. And depression will tear your mind up and keep you at a low energetic state if you don't understand how to get out of it. Another thing, the depression, just to help you a little bit, depression, like food. The kind of food you eat will cause a depressed state. Food is a big thing on cause depression. And also, because remember, whatever you put in your food, in your body, that hits every cell in your body, your brain, your heart, your lungs, everything. Okay. And so if you are depressed and you can't seem to get out of it, then instead of getting doped up and getting medication, you want to kind of wean yourself off a lot of things and get other help. Usually, what is said in the church, if you live a good Catholic life, which is the seven sacraments, prayer, baptism, marriage, holy orders, Eucharist, adoration, all these kind of things, meditative prayer. A lot of times your depression, you don't have depression like that. Okay. Number 24 of the reason that a clue that you may need marriage coaching: if you and your wife have generally bad communication. Communication is the art of love, whether you believe it or not. If we are unable to communicate properly, we will never make our wife feel safe enough to share her soul with us. Women fall in love with their ears, and bad communication can kill the emotional connection very quick in a marriage. So this goes back to the arguing thing a little bit, but communication is more than just bad communication, is more than just arguing. Like not letting your wife know what you did at work and how that went. Not letting your wife know you've been gone for 10 hours a day and she doesn't know what's going on and she doesn't really know your life. You do that day in and day out. You're gone 8, 10, 12 hours a day and you don't share your life with your wife. You come home and y'all don't have any kind of conversations. You just kind of eat dinner, watch a little TV, and then kind of do it all over again. Communication too is also intimacy outside the bedroom, like not cuddling with each other or being close to each other. All of this stuff is communication. Women fall in love with communication, man. Body language, the way you talk to them. Let's get to that for a second. This thing about you can the way our body language and listening to our wife and our tone of voice is very important when we talk to our wife. And a lot of guys don't really understand it. They think that they can talk to their wife like she's a guy, like she's a man or something like that. And you cannot talk to your wife like that because first of all, she doesn't deserve that. You have these men that say, well, I treat everybody the same. Well, you can't treat your wife like that. You can't, because she's going to start thinking, well, you treat me like everybody else, then you don't love me or care about me. And so then your emotional connection starts to leave. If you don't understand communication and how to communicate with your wife, if that is a stickler with you, you need marriage coaching like yesterday. Because eventually the way you and your wife interact with each other, that will cause divorce or her thinking about it and all that stuff. And man, in the bottom line is you don't want that. Another thing too, the way you and your wife communicate is the way your kids gonna communicate with their husbands and wives, or how they're gonna communicate with their friends and stuff if they have any friends. If you're bad communicators, okay. So number 25. If the couple has intimacy outside the bedroom issues, I just talked about that. I can't stress this enough that husbands must learn and be consistent in making love to their wife outside the bedroom to enhance their marriage and making love inside the bedroom. With all the pressures of and distractions of today, men forget that they must prepare their wife for their love. Okay, so I have this thing I call making love to your wife, intimacy outside the bedroom, right? What that means is you have to prepare your wife for your love. If you don't know how to do that, you got problems. Okay. Women need to be prepared. The older they get, the more they got to be prepared. I don't care if your wife is 18 years old or your wife is 90. They're all the same. You got to prepare them for love. You got to prepare them to make love. You got to prepare them, get love on their mind. You got to understand what to do, what that means, holding hands, intimacy, romance, all that stuff. Guys think that's a waste of time. That is not a waste of time. Romance is not a waste of time. Matter of fact, it builds an emotional connection and gives you great cookies in your marriage. Okay. Remember, man, we all men, we always doing something wrong. But when we do good things and our wife is happy and she's fulfilled and satisfied as a woman, we get a lot more leeway with things when we make mistakes. If we're already a jerk and we screw up all the time and she don't feel that we care about her or really love her, we talk to her bad, and we don't make love to her outside the bedroom, and we're not having sex and things like that, then we're in trouble. Okay, we are seriously in trouble. So the barometer goes way, way down. Okay, so just kind of keep that on your mind, man. In order to have great sex inside the bedroom, you must learn what it takes to cultivate your wife's heart, mind, and soul outside the bedroom. Okay. All right. Number 26. Number 26 of reasons that you may need marriage coaching. If you are Catholic and she is Protestant, or vice versa. Okay. Okay. Now, in the old days, this used to be called what? Mixed marriages. I don't know when it changed, but today when you say mixed marriages, people think, well, he's black and she's white, or she's Chinese and he's Japanese, or whatever. Okay. But what mixed marriages used to mean is you're married to a different religion than your spouse. So I've talked to people where the man is Muslim and the wife is Christian, or the man is Catholic, the wife is Protestant. She's a different form of a denomination of Christianity. And I'm telling you, man, it really don't work. It really don't. Different religions are very hard to make work. They just are, especially if you're really far apart, like Muslim and Catholic. I mean, you really can't get no further apart than that, can you? Buddhism, Christian. Okay, you can't. That's pretty far apart, right? I always suggest that you marry the same religion or marry a person who believes in God but has no specific religion affiliation. So the reason I say that is because that happened to me. So when me and my wife met, like we got back together. Me and my wife met when we were 12 years old for the first time. And then of course I grew up and married another lady. She died, and then my wife that I met at 12 years old, me and her started seeing each other again. Okay. So when we were when we started dating and stuff, I wasn't anything. I was basically agnostic. I really wasn't. I believe there's a God, but I didn't participate or nothing. So I wasn't a Baptist or a Jehovah's Witness. I wasn't a Catholic. I didn't even know what a Catholic was, and I didn't know none of that stuff. But I was indifferent. Like, it wasn't that I just hated God. I didn't have nothing against God. I really didn't have nothing against him. I just thought it wasn't for me. So when I got with my wife and she took me to this Catholic church, her church, it was Catholic. I said, "Oh, that's what a Catholic is." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And so, man, we in the church for the first time. I hadn't been to church in years, probably since I was a kid. We in church, man. I'm in my 30s, man, and in my experience with church, it's like you hear Steve Harvey talk about church, right? Like, you hoop and holler for 3-4 hours, and everybody's praising and worshiping, doing the service, and you there for like 2, 3, 4 hours, and and all that kind of stuff. It's like everybody's just jumping around and all that kind of stuff. That's kind of what I was used to. Every time the preacher say something, amen. Every time, amen. And the preacher he would preach for like an hour or two, and so my wife took me to. I would She's like, well, you want to go to church with me? I was like, okay, all right. So if I go to church with her, that means she's probably going to want to think about getting married. So you know how men are. We do anything for the loving, right? So, okay, I'll go to church with you. So we go to church, man, and I'm in the church, and first of all, we stand up, we kneeling, we sitting down, we kneeling, we standing up, we sitting down, we kneeling. I'm like, okay, what is this? This is like a yo-yo church or something. So then the preacher, which is the priest gets up there and he starts giving his preach. When in the Catholic Church, it's called a homily. But so we're on the same. He gives his sermon, right? So, man, I mean, that dude was like done in like 5 minutes. So I'm sitting there because I didn't set up and set back and cross my arms, and I'm getting ready, man, for this marathon preaching thing, And he's done it like it could have been no more than 10 minutes, man, 5 or 10 minutes. So he gets done, he goes to sit down, and I over to my wife, I said, what's wrong? Is he done? And my wife looked at me and started laughing. Yeah, he's done. He's done? Oh my God, really? I just couldn't believe it. So then, and not only that, y'all, we still like the service goes on and they do the Eucharist and take communion and all that stuff, and then they do closing and all that. I'm telling you, man, we were walking out of the church and back in our car in like 60 minutes exactly. And I'm thinking, we in the car? I mean, I could not believe it. I said, man, the Catholic Church is for me. I can go to church and be there for an hour and get to go home. Oh yeah, that's Jerry. So that's kind of, that was my thing. So, but my point about this is my wife was Catholic and I was indifferent. I wasn't anything. So I was more able to adapt to what she believed in stuff because I wasn't anything anyway. So it didn't really matter to me. Now, Jew and Catholic, that's like war, right? So my point of it is, man, when you marry somebody, if you marry an atheist and you're a Christian, that is not going to work. There's no way that's going to work because usually the atheist, unless you're very, very strong in your faith, the atheist is just going to just like override you, And so unless your faith is really strong and you're really, really trying to understand what you have, I guess it can work, but it's very hard. It's like I would say, try your best if you're a Catholic to marry a Catholic. At the least, marry somebody that's a Christian. If you're a Christian, try your best to marry a Christian or a Catholic. Try to at least where you guys can come together and you can eventually over the years go because eventually you're going to choose one faith or the other. You just are. That's just a natural thing, but you don't want to be fighting about it. Okay. But usually the best way to do is to marry somebody. If you're a Catholic, marry a Catholic. That way is you guys kind of at least on the same planet. All right. Next, number 27 is you can't agree on how to raise your children. Oh my goodness. We all know this one needs marriage coaching or therapy, right? The problem with many parents today is they focus too dang much on the children and their futures and forget that the marriage is the most important thing by far. Arguing about how to raise children is not nearly as important as you two having great communication and understanding that your relationship is twice as important or more than kids. Your kids will be fine if your marriage is fine. I can't tell you how many people think that the kids is more important than their husband, the kids is more important than their wife, the kids is more important than their marriage, or them even staying together. The kids is more important than God. Matter of fact, the kids are God. That is a recipe for disaster. And now on top of that, we're sitting there arguing about if they're going to Harvard, if they're going to IU, if they're going to Purdue, if they're going to what they're going to do. I mean, man, look, dude, all that stuff is what it is. The most important thing is you and your wife and God, and the kid's gonna be fine if that's fine. People think, well, my kid's gonna be this great surgeon or whatever, but then the kid doesn't have a religious foundation or their parents are divorced. The kid grows up. I don't care how much money he's making, he's miserable because his parents are divorced. And he has no foundation of the universe. He doesn't really understand what's going on. And this is the way a lot of kids are raised these days. They don't know nothing. They can't even critically think because their parents are focusing too much on what the kid's future is supposed to be. Now, look, I'm not stupid. I know you want a good future for our children. We all do. But that's not the number one thing in the family. It's not. I see people give a 1-year-old kid this exorbitant birthday party. Now, that kid can barely know when it's time to poop. And we giving the kid a 1-year-old birthday party that got 200 people there. We spent $10,000 and there's gifts all over the place. Now, is that party for the kid or is that party for the parents? And then they start arguing on how to even have the party or what the kid's gonna, what school the kid's going to, what elementary school the kid's going to, or whatever, everything. And it doesn't make sense. Okay. Next, this goes right with number 27, that you need marriage coaching, and you really do. You can even go get a counselor with this one, somebody that's a good counselor that can help you with this one, because this right here is crazy. You can't agree on how to discipline the children. That goes along with raising the kids. You can't agree on how to discipline the kids. That right there causes divorce. You're an abuser. I ain't abusing her. I ain't abuser. The kid, it just called you a bitch. You right, I'm abuser because I'm gonna knock him out. Calling my wife a bitch. So if you don't believe in punishing or spanking your kids, don't marry a person who believes in that kind of punishment. This goes along with the religion thing. Scripture says, spare the rod, spoil the child, and this is true. And I ask people who don't believe in spanking their kids, you know more than God does? You know better than God does? You gonna let Dr. Spock, the guy that started this whole crap about don't spank children? And where's that gotten us? Where's that gotten us in this country? How many kids do you know that are happy? None. How many kids you know? How many kids you know that don't disrespect their parents in some kind of way? None. How many kids you know that can't take nothing? They can't take nothing. They can't take any kind of pressure. They can't take anything. And so my question is, if you know more than God, then yeah, keep letting your kids be God. Treat them like God. Don't spank them. Don't punish them. Nothing. Okay. So next, if you believe your kids should be your friend, and your spouse believes you should be their parents first and foremost, you must not marry someone that favors this, as you will argue each and every day until the cows come home. This is why this is really not for married people right now. But if this is for married purpose, that you need, if you're already in this situation and you're in this situation and you got somebody and they have no idea how to discipline, then yeah, you need to get some help, man, to help you guys come to some kind of thing, because the kids are the ones suffering. If you're listening and you're not married, this is why when you are dating somebody and courting somebody, it can't be about the sex all the time. It can't be about having fun all the time. It can't be about doing fun stuff and going out to the park and going to concerts and just social media. I'm just so happy. If you're courting somebody and dating somebody, you need to get down to business after 2 weeks and be like, hey, do you want kids? Hey, how many kids you want? Hey, are you trying to be married? Hey, do you just want to date for the rest of our life? Hey, do you believe in spanking kids? Hey, do you believe in punishing kids when they do wrong? I mean, You should have you as you guys go along in your relationship when you're courting and dating. You should be trying to learn that person and see if they're the kind of person that that are deal breakers in what they think and believe. And religion and how to raise your kids and discipline the kids should be like at the top of the list. Not that you like to have sex with the person or you're attracted to them. Because in the end, that don't mean nothing. Hey, I can teach you how to make love great to any woman. That ain't the point. The point of it is, man, if you guys are arguing and fighting all the time and can't get along and talk very well, it doesn't matter what kind of the sex is going to go away because your marriage is going to go away when you get married. So this is a very good thing that these are very important questions as a parents that are now, another thing too, man. You married, let's say, you got a woman and she's not married, you ain't married, whatever, but she has a couple of kids or something. Man, look, you just can't marry that girl. You know, you just can't marry her. You've got to get her way of thinking. Like, when we get together, is this my kids or is it our kids? Man, my internet is acting crazy, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm probably freezing. Stay with me. Um, but I'm sure you can hear me. That's why. But okay, can you hear me now? You should be able to hear me now. Sorry about that, fellas. Sorry about that. I'm so sorry. You should be able to hear me now. I don't know what happened. Internet went out. That's the thing about living. That's the thing about living out in the boonies, man. That's how it is. So if you can't hear me, somebody let me know again. And I'm very sorry for that. Um, but anyway, it looks like you can. So with that being said, um, the main thing is if you have a woman, you're about to marry a woman, and she has kids, and all she talks about is her kids. Those are my kids. You can't treat my kids like that. You can't talk to my kids like that. You can't do that to my kids. And you guys aren't one set of parents. Like she's the parents, and you're like had nothing to do with that. You don't marry that woman. Don't marry that woman. And this is why if you are already in a situation like that, you're gonna need help in how to deal with that. Believe it or not. Okay. All right. So number 29, your kids don't talk to you. Okay. This is another thing. I can't believe. Let me see. I can't believe how parents these days allow their children to treat them so bad and they accept it. If your kids don't speak to you and they are below 18, why do you accept this behavior? It is disrespectful and breaks the fourth commandment. And for all of us who don't know, the fourth commandment is honor thy mother and father. It's a mortal sin. Okay. It's the fourth one. It's not the fifth or the ninth or the 10th. It's the fourth. It's very important. It's like right below the God commandments. Okay. So it's very, believe it or not, the commandments are in order of importance. And it makes sense. That's number four. You honor God above everything else. And then number four, you honor your parents above everything else because they're the ones that gave you life along with God. So it makes sense, right? Okay. Um, If your kids are cold and mean to you, you must ask yourself, what have you and your wife done to encourage this behavior? I'm not going to go deep into this one because, most people that listen to my podcast know what I think about how I think about treating kids. That's a no-brainer to me. But the main thing is, man, the one question I will leave you with on this one is, if your kids are mean to you, or they're not talking to you, ask yourself why. Like, a lot of times it's because it's some of the other things. You and your wife can't agree on how to raise them right. You guys can agree on if the kid should be punished, if the kid shouldn't be punished. You A lot of times the parents can't even agree on if we should take the kid's phone away or not, because the kid disrespected one of the other parent or got in trouble at school or whatever. This is the thing, man. A lot of times, most of the time, when kid you if a parent has bad kids, it's not because of the kids. It's not. The first problem is we send our kids to public schools. So guess what? They learn all this stuff. When I say public schools, I mean, I don't care if it's Harvard School of whatever. you know, I don't care if it's the best school in the state that's highly rated. I don't care if it's a Catholic school. I don't care if it's a government public school. I don't care. It's a school that ain't with their mom and daddy. When your kids go away from you from 6 to 10 hours a day, what do you think they're doing at school for 10 hours a day? They didn't learn. They only learn for when you homeschool your kids, especially when your kids in elementary school and middle school. Elementary school takes 30 minutes to homeschool. Middle school takes an hour. I mean, so your kids are gone from you for 6 to 10 hours, 12 hours, 10 hours a day, and they come home and they're so messed up from all this input that they got from all these other people and these other kids. They're learning about life from other kids. And these teachers that want to think talking about sex in elementary school is good. And we turn our kids over to them. And so we get mad when our kids are disrespectful. We get mad when our kids don't talk to us. We get mad, but we can't even agree how to raise them right. Okay? So parenting is these days is very hard. It is. It's a balance, is like everything is, man. But there are some things that we do not allow. You don't allow your kids to talk to you. You don't allow your kids to be mean to you and your wife. You don't allow your kids to be disrespectful. And you punish your kids when they get out of line. And you clothe them, feed them, love them, and care about them. And then things will work out. Discipline is the primary thing when it comes to kids. Okay? Discipline is not what you do to someone, it's what you do for someone. Okay? Believe it or not, I've coached a lot of boys. I've had many kids. I've talked to people with kids. And I tell you, the ones that don't have discipline in their home, they always got problem with their kids. Always, to a T. Now, I will give you this. There are some kids that they just naturally good. They like whatever their parents say, they just do it. They honor their parents. That's just some kids just like that. They just are. But most kids ain't, especially when you send them out the home to be educated. All right, the last one for the day is number 30. You feel you married the wrong woman. Oh man. Oh, you got to get marriage coaching for this one, fellas. If you thought about I've married the wrong woman, you gotta. It's too late now. It's too late now, especially if you're Catholic and you know the real deal. Matter of fact, I was in adoration today, and I was reading my Bible, and I was in Mark 10, where it talks about Jesus and divorce. And I mean, he said it's clear. It's clear. There's no in the beginning, it was not so. So, which means there was from the beginning, before Moses, the original plan of God was not to allow divorce, that you together forever and you stuck with them. Moses came along and people was really hard on the wife, and there was a lot more evil. And so in order to have less of an evil, then Moses allowed the people to get divorced. The wife and the wife and the husband could file for divorce too. It didn't matter. When Jesus came, he started talking about, look, Moses had to do it because of the hardness of the hearts. And now, you know, I'm saying I'm God and I'm Christ, and I'm telling you that that's not how the Father wants it. We're going back to the way it was at the beginning, and which is what? Nothing can separate you once you're married. Nothing. Okay, unless it was unlawful. And I talked about that yesterday, so I'm not going to talk about that today. But if you marry the wrong woman, if you think if you feel you married the wrong woman, if you think this craziness, then you need marriage coaching immediately. Your marriage is on decline, and if you feel this, your wife senses it. You didn't marry the wrong woman. Your mindset is the problem. A husband such as this has his mind on other women or fantasizing what it would be like to experience this woman or that woman. Or he has created an environment in his home where his wife feels unloved and feels the need to nag him for love and attention. Either way, this kind of man needs to get his act together. She chose you, you chose her. Be a real man and figure out how to make it work. And that's really what it comes down to, gentlemen, that, you know, when you marry a woman, I tell my kids all the time, and I know I skipped a thought. I'm sorry. But I tell my boys all the time, you pick her and I'll teach you how to keep her. And that's what it is. If you feel you married the wrong woman, man, it's a knowledge problem. It's not a feeling problem. It's a knowledge problem. Because again, that woman married you and she chose you, and at the time you chose her, and so now we got to make it work. And the way you do that is you get evil and pride out of the middle of your marriage, and you start talking to each other properly, and you start understanding that you love each other, and that put God in the middle, not in the middle, at the top of it. People say put God at the center. No, you put God at the top of it. Really, you put God at the top of stuff, man, because grace falls down. God has the grace. I want the grace. How do I get the grace? I need that to keep my home in order, man. That's what we need. God first. All right. Then your wife in marriage. And you'll see, man, things start to change for you. All right. You didn't marry the wrong woman, man. It's your mindset. Stop fantasizing about these other women. Stop, listen, another thing too, man, if you can't make this woman work, how you gonna make the next woman work? Guys kill me. There's no perfect woman, dude. And then when you do, how many beautiful women have you dated or seen, and they open their mouth and you go, oh my God. Oh, no. Stop talking. Right? You see them many times. Every woman, man, is beautiful, and something about her that's beautiful. And your job as a husband is to find that. All right. You might have an average looking wife. It doesn't matter. You might have a beautiful wife looking on the outside. Doesn't matter. What I chose to do with my wives is focus on what the most beautiful thing about them that I see, and that's what carries me. I don't be sitting there thinking about, oh man, Jennifer Lopez, man, she's great, and boy, I wish I could be with her. And no, man, I'm not trying to be Janet Jackson. Oh man, Janet Jackson used to be fine. Oh man, oh. No, man. No, dude, I'm not trying to think like that. I'm trying to make the woman I got happy. It's hard enough to get one happy. How you trying to make two or three of them happy? That's why I don't understand Mormons, man. how do they do it? They got 4, 5 wives and stuff. So anyway, hey, when I will come back, we're going to review the ones from the day and have some closing thoughts. And man, thank you guys for hanging out. And again, I'm sorry that my internet went out, and that's just kind of happens when you go live. Even if I had perfect internet, it still happens every now and then. But Starlink has started to stabilize for me a lot more. It's not as bad as it was. But you know what? I'm thankful that I got it, or else I wouldn't be able to be with you guys 3 times a week. Bam. Get live Catholic marriage help Tuesday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Live streamed on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and CatholicAlpha.com. If you're getting value from this podcast and would like more personal marriage help, visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for an opportunity to work with me personally for free. Yes, within 30 days, learn how to become a better husband that attracts your wife back to you. Visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com and get a plan tailored specific to your marriage and situation. I've helped hundreds of men in their marriages. Allow me the chance to help you using my personal and gained experience. Visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for superior coaching for your marriage. Again, SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com. That's SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com to become the man God created you to be and the husband your wife needs. Lastly, I always get the question, why don't you help women? And I always answer them, I do. So, for all of you beloved wives out there that want to reignite that feeling of emotional closeness and complete love from your hubby, consider marriage coaching and visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for an improved marriage within 30 days. Okay, so we are here for some closing thoughts, and I just really wanted to say that I know a lot of these things, are tough. A lot of them are, and but the reason I'm doing this, man, I never do anything without a purpose. Everything I do on the show in my program is for a purpose, and that's to help you contemplate your marriage and your relationship with God and your relationship with your children. Okay, because when you're married and you have a family, that is your purpose. That is your purpose. And it takes up a lot of your time, and it should take up almost all of your time after that 8 hours that you've been at work. Because we all got to go to work. We all got to work some kind of hours, right? And so just try your best to understand what I'm trying to do and give these things some serious thought. Hey, you might be one of those guys that got a couple of them and you can solve it. You say, okay, Jerry, I see what you're saying. I'm gonna go work on that. But you might be one of them guys, you got 10 or 20 or 30 of them, and it's like, oh my God, I can't solve all these. Then that's when you know you really need help and stop. You didn't already waited too long. That means if you got 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 of these things, man, dude, you gotta, hey, you waited, you need to get married. The longer you wait, the worse it's gonna be. Okay, so real quick before we go, I'm gonna review the one from the day. All right, so the number 21 reason that you may need marriage coaching is if you and your wife argue more than once per year. Number 22, if you have anger problems. Number 23, if you are depressed. Number 24, if you and your wife have generally bad communication. Number 25, if the couple has intimacy outside the bedroom issues. Number 26, if you are Catholic and she is Protestant or vice versa. Number 27, that you will need that you probably need marriage coaching. You can't agree on how to raise your children. Number 28, you can't agree on how to discipline the kids. Number 29, your kids don't talk to you. And number 30, you feel you married the wrong woman. All right. Have a good afternoon, fellas, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Other than that, let's end as we always do with a quote from Pope Benedict XVI, which states, society offers you comfort, and you weren't made for comfort. You were made for greatness. So go forth, Christian soldier. The spiritual fight is upon you. Fast, pray, and prepare for battle. Thank you for listening in today. If what you heard helped you in any way and you would like more personal attention, visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for superior marriage coaching. And remember to join the Catholic Alpha Radical Live podcast as a caller or listener every Tuesday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern. To join as a caller, dial area code 313-RADICAL. To join as a listener or view the live stream, visit the Catholic Alpha Radical Live Facebook page or visit CatholicAlpha.com for Catholic marriage help that actually works. Bam!